2 broken diesel pumps. Is this the end of my alternative diesel journey and indeed my Mazda Bongo?
Delivery?
Maybe not. So what we've got here is a tale of 3 diesel pumps. This first one was the first pump that we were running in the van. Problem I had with this one is running on full veg oil. We only got about 80% of power. I think this one is blocked. It was left on the drive for 18 months during the first part of lockdown with biodiesel in it. I've taken a couple of the sides off. You can see it's quite bunged up. So this one needs to be stripped down and cleaned. We then changed it for this second diesel pump. I was only running this one on diesel. I'd taken out the dual fuel system to put the van through an MOT because it was a temporary setup I had in the van. I will be redoing that at some point. During the fuel crisis in the UK, I had 200 litres of used veg oil which came from a Chinese shop. That had been standing for around 18 months to 2 years, so it was completely filtered. We drained the water off the bottom. We chucked 25 litres of this into the van, and this happened. And I have tried everything with this. I've run clean diesel through it, I've run a cleaner through it. We've tried just connecting it directly to a bottle full of diesel. This does not draw diesel in anymore. So I've now bought this diesel pump off of eBay. This one was advertised as having a leak from the bottom sections here. So I'll quickly take this apart, change those seals, we'll chuck this in the van, and fingers crossed we're back up and running.
Right, so I'm going to get the diesel filter off, tip that out, fill it up with fresh diesel, put new diesel in the van, and then this should run. It should be as simple as that. I'll put a few litres of petrol in here, shake it about to help thin down the veg oil. Right, I've got the oil filter off and I've managed to loosen it up. Let's try and take this off one-handed. It was quite stuck on. I've had to clamp in a vice to undo it. Whoa. Oh, look how blocked that is. So that's probably a major part of my problem, was the state of this filter. So we're going to go pick up a new filter now and get that in, and then we'll clean this up. But look at this jelly. That has come out of the veg oil that we used. So that, yeah, if that's in the filter, you can see it's come up through here. That's probably in my pump as well, and that's why that pump is not working. So we'll get this cleaned up, we'll get a new filter, and then hopefully the van's done. Right, just going to leave that running for a bit, let it pull through the diesel. It's going to struggle a little bit while it's getting rid of the old stuff, but she should pick up. A little bit smoky. Typical, isn't it? Been sunny all day. I've come over to carry on working on the van, and now it started raining. Always away. Right. Anyway, trying to get this van back and running. I've got it now. I've cleaned everything out. It's just running on diesel. In fact, I've got it running on a separate bottle of diesel, so it's separate from the tank, and I'm still getting the same issue. So I've let it soak overnight with diesel in it. I'm going to try and run it now, see if it works. If it doesn't, then I'm going to just run it on injector cleaner to see if that cleans up. If not, then I'm guessing I've damaged the seal and pump. So there's the setup. It's just sat there in diesel. And let's... So it started straight away, which is good, but will it rev? Let's have a look. No, see, it's still not revving over 1500. Well, that's interesting. I've got the return fuel line coming in here. When I'm running the engine, there's no fuel coming out of the return. Next job, put that stuff in there. All right, that's in there. Let's start it up. Wait for the glow light to go off. That should be sucking up that now. I'm in the kitchen and I've just cleaned out this fuel return banjo that was all blocked. There's jelly-like substance that's filled all the pipes. So this is my old diesel pump, and this one stopped working with similar symptoms to the one that's in there now. We've got the pulley system here which turns the spindle. In this first section of the pump is an uplift pump that draws all the fuel through in the top here, down through the banjo, comes into the central body, and then from the central body we've got two items operating here. One is our throttle and one is the governor, and these two work together to control the amount of fuel that gets squirted out through a distributor. We've got this little guy here which I believe is a pressure regulator, and that controls fuel which comes down through this little guy, and I think it comes up into the distributor here. So I'm going to start by taking this off and taking this off and having a look to see what we can find. So that's full of gunk, and it's spring loaded to see if this whole component here lifts out. Okay, so we got another ring there, and that is totally gummed up, and yes it does. So that there's come out as well. And you can see that's got a channel around the bottom there and a hole through it. And this is totally gummed up. So I've managed to get this little guy out. He is located here, just in the top there. Oh, if I bring it up, it's there. Okay, I've come over here to stand under the light at the moment, so I need to get this place sorted. I've only just got that corner set up. Still kind of going into the moving in process. So this guy, in there's a collar around the end. Focus. There's a collar around the end, and then there's a piston in there. And when you push up on that piston, it opens up those holes there and allows diesel through. Now this was seized stuck. I used a screwdriver and I pushed against it. It eventually popped, and I've moved it up and down, and that now flows through freely. So I'm going to give this a bit more of a clean. I'm going to clean the rest of this up here. I'll clean this guy I took apart, and I think that is the finer points of our diesel delivery system. So I'm going to put that back together, and then I'll try the same thing on the one that's on the bongo, see if I can start it that way. If not, I'll put this pump back together and we'll swap them over. Right, so in here, I've already disconnected the pipes, I've cleaned those, I've disconnected the fuel lines, I've filled the pump with all the different diesel cleaners, I've run fresh diesel through it, and it's still not working. It still just starts up, idles, but no throttle response. So after taking apart the spare fuel pump yesterday in the basement, I'm going to do the same here today. I'm going to take those two parts out, clean them, put them back, put it all back together and see if it runs. Now what I will also do is connect a line to the fuel inlet here and drain the tank and put fresh diesel in there. So it's going to be a bit of a pain getting at the two bits I need to undo with the pump in situ, but you know, that's fine, we can do it. So I'm going to crack on and get these off. And look at the state of my poor steering wheel. I'm going to have to give that a good clean and put some bleach rags on it to soak over that. This poor thing has actually been sat here for about 3 months now because I've been too busy moving to be able to deal with the van. And I really, really want this back on the road. I love this van. I should really stop treating it like crap, really. But I also love messing around and running fuels and doing stuff I shouldn't be doing. So that's the way it goes. Let's get this stripped. So the bit that we're trying to get at is right tucked down in there. and it's awkward as hell. You've got to get a 10mm on it to try and turn it. A 10mm spanner, not the socket. And with everything in situ, I can't get to that, so I'm going to have to put the spanner on it like that. Now, why this isn't a socket head, I have no idea. And then I'm just going to try and because I don't want to take this off just to do that. Did that turn? It did. Okay, so this one is fine, there's no issues with that. Nice and tight. Okay, so the next one is going to be the little socket down there. So that should be a bit more easy to get at, but it is loaded with springs, and I do need to chuck a tray under the car because a lot of diesel is going to come out of there. Now, I've had this one off before because before I fitted this I changed it to seals, so I'm hoping that this one is going to be a lot easier. A seal there, that's also looking lovely and clean. So right, that's really disappointed. I was really hoping to see that they were gummed up and blocked, but they're not. Now, it has been sat for about 3 months with diesel cleaner in there, so fingers crossed that's it. Yeah, the pipes are clean, the injectors should be clean, and everything else is clean and it's running there. So I'm going to get the battery back on, get the old Fizzolator booster on there, and see if this thing will start up. Okay, that alarm means I haven't got any water, so let's go check that. Okay, what I'm going to do first, I'm just going to check here. If I got water here, I don't need to bleed the old system. Yeah, there's water coming out there. So I've just lost some from the top tank. So popped that off already. Pinch the old kettle. There we go. Pop them back on. Someone said I might have these the wrong way around. You're probably right, I haven't checked. Give her a bit more glow plug action, she's been standing a while. Now it's going to need to pull diesel through as well, so even with the Fizzolator on boost there, it's not doing it. Okay, let's try again. There's no life in that battery. That needs a charge overnight, I think. Right, battery's been on charge for a few hours. So that's not looking promising. I think I'm on the plan of repairing the old pump and swapping them over. Leave it running for the moment, but it's still only revving up to 1500, 2000 RPM. Right, that should have cleared everything. It's still not running tight. You're going to take this out of the mix to see if, make sure it's not restricting anything. No, without that inline pump we get even less rev. So we still have an issue with that pump. Something I think has got blocked or pushed. So I'm going to change this one out. Let's turn that off. I'm going to change this one out for the one in the garage. I was hoping I didn't have to do it, but is what it is. What I'm going to do in the meantime is I'm just going to let this run and drain that tank. And the simplest way to do it is just through there. I'm not siphoning it again. Not after last time. So we've disconnected all the gear connections. Didn't really need to disconnect that one, but I have. I'll put that back together. That's so we can get this piece off. We had to disconnect the piece of wiring. It's down there. It's there. And now I am taking the intake corner off, because that'll allow me to get the timing cover off, which will allow me to undo the pump. And then I've got to take all these pipes here off and a couple of brackets on there. Easy peasy. And that is getting there. Now with that off, you can see I've got nice access now to the timing cover. So that lovely noise tells us that that is now empty, so I've drained the tank.
So this is the old diesel pump that I started to strip down the other day and saw that that was all blocked. And what I'm going to do, this is what I've just taken off the van. Now I took all these bits off and they weren't blocked, they seemed fine. So I'm going to swap the good bits that I know on this across onto this one. I'm going to refit this one because the symptoms are different. The last time I took this one off, the van slowly got worse and worse, and then it finally stopped after it was sitting for 18 months. So I think that kind of just dried out and blocked up. So I'm hoping this is still a good pump. So I'll get the bits off this, get it on here, get this back on the van, and then we fire it up and see what happens.
Okay, that's the pump back in. I haven't connected everything back up yet, but it is bolted on the timing belt section. All the pipes are back on. I've got this running straight down to fresh diesel before pulling it all through the tank. We've got all the pipes and everything else hooked up. So right, let's pop this off, see if it's right. No diesel getting there yet. So I'm going to put the 12 volt pump on it, draw some diesel up. They should self-prime, but I don't know how good that connection is. So let's give that a try.
So I'm just going to take this section off, change the seals on it. We'll do that really quick. And take the fuel in off, clean the banjo filter in there. And I've just noticed that the little woodruff key here that holds the pump onto the timing belt is chewed up. So I need to knock that out. It's in there quite tight. I need to knock that out with a chisel, take one of the keys off the other pumps and tap that in there. So, right, I've got this open and I do believe it has been leaking from here. There's so much sealant around here. So someone has covered this section with sealant and has put it back together. Let me take all these shims out. Pop that off there. So this is just full of hideous sealant. Now, the crazy thing about that is, oh yeah, this seal here is absolutely covered. Costs about 10 pence. If you've got one of these and it's leaking from there, take this off. It's two bolts rather. It's nice and simple. And just go to your local seal shop. There'll be a bearings and seal place nearby. 10 pence. Job done. And just pop that in there and this will be good. I'll also do the other side. And here we are. Can you see that? This one has been sealed on as well. So I need to scrape all that off there. And then inside here, I'll take out the old seal. There we are. You can see all the sealant in there blocking into the diesel pump. And that, again, really brittle, knackered seal. Right, get this cleaned out. And we pop this nice, good seal in. Got it. Now I can't get it off the end of the pencil. Oh, I don't want to watch this. So there is the diesel filter. You guys can see, bring it up to the camera, that is totally blocked. So that's it, the new pump is in, and here we go. Let the glow plugs do their thing. So that's sorted. Oh, phone goes beep beep. So that's sorted. Now all I need to do is button all this back up. So that means it's fixed. We had to change the pump. I'll strip down the other ones to see what is wrong with them. At some point, I'll do that on one rainy day in the garage. But now we can just start enjoying the van again. Oh, maybe not. Until next time, guys. Cheers. Ta-da.